This video you're about to watch is basically what I've said before, but now it's being said by Alex Collier. And I listened to his stuff in the past, and he's got a lot of good teachings and understandings of stuff. But after he says what he says, then you're going to understand our connection with the universe. Regardless of the reincarnation soul trap, in the afterlife, you got choices to make. Choices that no one can take from you. You can make any choice you want because the soul is powerful.
That's one thing that I want to share with you. The other thing is this, and I've had a lot of questions over the years about this, but I have had a couple more just in the last 2 weeks regarding this question: what happens when you die? And I have emails to get to, but folks have been really busy just trying to hold things together myself. Okay, but I'll get to your emails here in the next week. When you die, you have choices. You don't know this, but you have choices. When you leave your physical body, it is very typical for you to see yourself standing next to your body with either your loved ones or EMTs or whatever the circumstances are. And you see yourself, and then you'll hear a voice, you'll see the tunnel of light, and the voice will be calling you, or you will hear the voice telepathically telling you to come, you know. Now, as you stand there and you're looking at the tunnel of light, you have a choice. You can go up to this tunnel of light where you'll be with other loved ones that have crossed over, usually, all right? And you'll be put into a system where you are essentially caught in a reincarnational cycle, a loop. Or you can turn around, put the tunnel of light behind you, and what you will see is the entire universe. If you choose to go to the universe instead of the tunnel of light, whatever dimension you came from when you came down here to Earth, okay, we'll keep it all present time and place. Earth, whether it was 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th density, whatever it was, if you choose the universe and you say to yourself, I wish to go home, you will return to that dimension from which you came. So if it's 5, 6, 7, or 8, you will leave here and you will go back to that dimension, where I am told you'll be reunited with your soul brother. Because we're multidimensional, we're in many places at once. I've never shared this information before.
Says, I heard that when we die, we should not go to the light as it is a trick to recapture our soul to rebirth on Earth. Is that true?
Yeah, that's what I was told. Visayas was very specific. He said, you, of course, can choose to do whatever you want, but none of you ever turn around and look what's behind you. And when I asked, well, what is behind me? He said, freedom. Freedom of Earth. Freedom of the reincarnational cycle.
Welcome to Open New Reality, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chad. In this video, I want to address the Creator itself. Whether you believe it's God, the LCS, or some other source, I think we really have to question why the world is so fragmented and troublesome. Of course, there are many positives in life, but it seems as if this world was created to instill maximum fear in us. After all, we are nothing more than spirits housed in a flesh and bones body. A body that is susceptible to germs, disease, starvation, animals, and of course, other human beings. In 90% of my videos, I look at the positive side of things, the positive side of the whole universe. But in this video, I want to look at some of the darker things in creation, because ours is a world where many of us have to continually fight for our survival and our sanity. It was Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, the great German writer, who said, "We do not have to visit a madhouse to find disordered minds. Our planet is the mental institution of the universe." Indeed, I'm sure that's how many of you feel. As I continue to post videos on this channel and read your comments, I have come to understand where most of my audience is and how they view the world. And I recently came across an Eric Dubay video, yes, an Eric Dubay video, where he poignantly asked why our world has to be the way it is. And he also questions whether this world is a soul trap, designed to ensnare our souls, similar to how humans were enslaved in the Matrix movies. If you don't know who Eric is, he's the father of the modern flat earth movement. But don't roll your eyes just yet, because this video is not about flat earth. Eric's also explored many other conspiracy ideas. I would tell you what they are, but they're so crazy that I think you would just tune out of this video if I told you. Some of you know who he is. I've corresponded with Eric several times by email, asking him if he'd like to come on the channel for an interview, and unfortunately he declined each time. So Eric, if you're watching, well, I think it's about time. It's March 2022. You need to come on Open Your Reality. And now I'd like to play you an excerpt from a recent video I watched with Eric Dubay talking about the soul trap, the state of the world. And without further ado, guys, here it is.
Perhaps this world isn't 100% perfect in the sense of how all religions praise the creator as being wholly benevolent and good. But what I see is a world of disease, aging, torture, death, natural disasters, psychopaths, parasites. There's so many things that happen in this world that if I was the creator, I wouldn't put them in the world, especially if I wanted to create a perfect world. Why does a perfect world need natural disasters and animals that eat other animals to survive, or even to eat anything to survive? Why can't we remember our past lives or remember the in-between life state? Why is there this memory wipe associated with this world? Why do parasites and psychopaths exist? That is what they use, it seems, to get us to consent to coming back to this world and this system over and over again, is this idea of karma, or the idea that we can do better and that this is a school and negativity exists because we need to.
So just so I can get you caught up, yes, the Earth flat theory is actually true. It's not a theory. It's reality. And when you're talking about the Most High, so he's talking about the devil that everybody's calling the Most High. But the devil didn't create this world. We as collective did, because we are part of the energy source that we come from. And everybody calls the energy source the Most High, but it is in us. We are all part of it. We have separated ourselves from Googles and numbers to experience life, and experience life through us in different realities on purpose. However, we still have free choice, and we're not supposed to choose to come to this place. This place is a school. The trick is to go to school and get out, learn something from it and get out of the school, not keep coming back to the same school. Excuse me, aka a soul trap.
To learn from it, and there's some ultimate mission somewhere that ultimately we're able to graduate from, and then that's worth all this torture and death and disease and dying and natural disasters and psychopaths and memory.
And of course, he made it perfect. It wasn't heaven, but guess what? Something came along and made it a hell, and really trying to make it even worse a hell. Trying to.
Wipes and parasites and having to consume beings to stay alive and all of this stuff that doesn't have to exist in our reality, but it does. Instead of our bodies beginning the way they do and slowly aging and succumbing to disease and torture and dying, we could live in a world in which you slowly your body becomes more and more like immortal, like Wolverine. What does he have? Not titanium, but adamantium. Adamantium. You know, we could have some sort of or gold or whatever the strongest.
Or be
stuff.
entirely spiritual beings that don't need a corporeal physical form and can exist entirely in that sense. You know, I totally get you on that one. There's so many potentials and possibilities and ideas. I mean, the human imagination is nigh endless, if not actually endless. It's something that I feel like collectively we could come up with so much more interesting, so much better, so many better stories than what we are experiencing now.
Exactly. So why do we always come back here? Is this the only dimension in existence? Is this the only world there is to incarnate into? The only place souls can possibly go? Is this morally questionable place that has all these negative aspects? What I'm saying, like, there's nowhere in the multiverse that souls can go for actual peace. There's nowhere we can go. Highly evolved soul, like no psychopaths, and just a bunch of like really empathetic, nice people that want to have a good time with their lives. Like, that doesn't exist anywhere in the multiverse that we can go. Like, I don't believe that. I feel like we have been tricked, just like trickedbythelight.com or some of these channels I recommended are talking about, that we're being tricked to come back in here, and we keep consenting to it because a memory wipe is part of this process, this reincarnation process. And a few people have little glimpses where they are able to see the in-between life state or their past life. What if we are all actually infinitely powerful, unique, sovereign creators ourselves with the ability to create whatever world, heaven, or afterlife we wish on our own?
Facts.
But instead of creating and living in our own worlds, we're being tricked into reincarnating into someone else's creation here. A creation filled with pain, suffering, torture, death, natural disasters, disease, predators, psychopaths, parasites, no memory.
And this has happened over and over time in history. It's time for us to turn our back on the light, excuse me, which is the dark. And I need some water. And look at the universe. Turn around, look at the universe, and say, I'm going home. And go home. Make your own reality.
Of previous lives and many other things that I personally would never choose to have in my created world. I wonder if the returning to oneness Brahma concept could be a deception used by the creators of this realm to get us to give up our individuality and submit to going back into the light of oneness soup with all the other.
Remember, I read something that it also took us, like it had to somehow trick us to almost take part in this reality. I said something about that too. So it's kind of like we did something great, and then they turned it terrible, and then somehow tricked us to take part of it. It's kind of weird. You know what I'm saying? And this is definitely a time trap, a soul trap. And it's time to get out of here. This is truly time to wake up, y'all. It's time to go soon. I'm not telling you to do anything stupid or anything either. I'm talking about when you actually, your body expires, then you go ahead and you dip. You don't come back here. You know, don't be afraid of death, but don't do anything to harm yourself.
Cycled souls, right? It seems like
doesn't exist.
These governments, this new world order, these secret societies, and this system of evil that operates in the physical world in this dimension. There may be an element of that in the other dimension that keeps us coming back here. People in most of the world's major religions now have this idea that whatever created this realm is 100% benevolent and good, and you should want nothing more than to reincarnate here. But what if there's better places? What if you can create your own better place and have other people come? What if there's all these other souls in a sovereign area of the afterlife realm who are able to co-create and bleep in and out of each other's co-created worlds? And this one is more like a prison where we cannot leave it until we die. And it seems that way, like the way dreams work and the way sleep works. It's like, why do we have to sleep so often? What is dreams? What is it? Or out-of-body experiences and all this stuff. It's like our real being is intangible. It's an immortal soul, and we're being tricked to coming into this body in this subpar realm, this subpar dimension ruled by evil psychopaths. And even when we die,
And we have many bodies, many realms, many kingdoms, many mansions, many great heavenly realities, not this hell bullshit. And it's time for us to go there instead of coming back here so we can be above these demons who try to suck people's energy, and then we can go ahead and totally get rid of them and judge them. Just like the book said we're going to do. We don't need them, y'all. All we got to do is turn our back on the voices, the bullshit light that they make to trick you. Don't be a pawn in the
societies
game.
and this system of evil that operates in the physical world in this dimension, there may be an element of that in the other dimension that keeps us coming back here. People in most of the world's major religions now have this idea that whatever created this realm is 100% benevolent and good, and you should want nothing more than to reincarnate here. But what if there's better places? What if you can create your own better place and have other people come? What if there's all this, all these other souls in a sovereign area of the afterlife realm who are able to co-create and bleep in and out of each other's co-created worlds? And this one is more like a prison where we cannot leave it until we die. And it seems that way, like the way dreams work and the way sleep works is like, why do we have to sleep so often? What is dreams? What is it? Or out of body experiences and all this stuff. It's like our real being is intangible. It's an immortal soul, and we're being tricked to coming into this body in this subpar realm, this subpar dimension ruled by evil psychopaths. And even when we die, we get tricked to coming back in here rather than exploring the potentially infinite multiverse of much better dimensions that are most likely out there.
Well, I hope you
They out
enjoyed
there.
that video. Eric was very clear in what he said in terms of this world being not a place that's so kind to us. And I read or see something, things really should be. It seems that it's been contrived to be a fearful, dangerous, and sad world, for many people at least. And while Tom Campbell has explained why this is so, and so have I in many of my videos, but every time I turn on the news and I read or see something tragic, it makes me question the Creator. Does it really have to be this way?
So he knows that the fallen ones reversed the whole planet, and that these fallen ones that everybody's calling the creator means no harm, and they made this world a bad place to be. They made it a prison planet, and we can escape it because when we go and we our bodies say, okay, I can't hold you no more, you're too strong, your energy's too strong for me, because eventually it does do that, then what happens? Then we can choose not to take part in this and make our own reality and then judge them, just like the Matrix was telling you on the last one, for those who've seen it.
So the absolute suggestion is that there is a soul trap. And this soul trap is in the mind, begins really in the mind and ends in the mind. But yet, because life creates a reflection, we see it in the so-called physical circumstances to some degree. The suggestion is that we are not the body, we are not the mind. We can even see scientifically that the whole body, down to the last atom, changes completely every 7 years. So if we say we are this body now, when this body is completely gone, completely being transformed down to the last atom, where do we go? Therefore, we cannot be the body. We also cannot be the mind, because the mind is just full of thoughts, opinions, beliefs, which are constantly changing. The thoughts and the opinions get taken on from the outside, the beliefs from the outside. What you believed yesterday is not what you believe today. What you
believe today may not be what you believe in the so-called future. So the mind is constantly changing. Something within us can watch the mind. So we cannot be the mind. We are not the body, we are not the mind. The suggestion also is that actually there is no such thing as the body or the mind. They're just concepts. They're just an apparent reality. In the same way that there are really no waves, there is only the ocean. There appears to be many waves, different kinds of waves, large waves, small waves. But all waves are just really the animation of the ocean. There's only really the ocean. So this thing that we call life, which is a live thing, there's a lie, and there is a fee. And the fee is one's energy. This live fee is a kind of simulated reality, just like the idea of the wave in the ocean. The body, the name, the form are just appearances of the one. So it creates this illusory sense that there are separate things when really everything is just one animation. The animation of the absolute, of the source. So the suggestion is that it is kind of like being in a simulated reality, computer simulation. Imagine from a young age you have no memory of anything else, no awareness of anything else. You are given a name, you are taught to identify with the name and with the form of the body. And then you go through life thinking you are the body and the name. And then you start to develop relationships with other so-called bodies and names. And then you have a job, you have life experiences. There are circumstances happening. All of these things start to happen, and there is an entanglement that takes place in which you think that you are certain things and not other things. A sense of separation is there, isolation, cosmic abandonment. And then from that, imagine the sense, the heaviness that comes. The heaviness that you feel because all you are is just a little separate body mind that you have to protect. Because you feel very limited and contracted and separate from everything. And so of course from that then there is suffering that happens, unhappiness, sorrow, fear, attachment is born, false identification. So imagine that this life is like a simulated reality and you think that you are a simulated character, the body, mind, world. And the heaviness that comes, and then imagine that you will walk out of that and realize that you are kind of in a sense outside of the simulation. Or more accurately, the simulation is not reality. It just appears to be real, but it's not ultimately real. It borrows its life from the true reality, the absolute reality that you essentially are. So imagine that you awaken to that. How would that, and how that would make you feel more free, more liberated. This is what's called liberation. So liberation is like you're in a simulated reality, and all of a sudden you realize that the simulation is not real. It's an illusion, and that you are not part of the simulation. That you are not temporary, that you do not die, that you do not come and go when the simulation comes and goes. That would completely free you. And so much peace, so much joy, to be able to now play rather than taking life so seriously. So that's the suggestion. The suggestion is that just like a computer simulation, this life is like that. Or we can use the analogy of a dream. When you're dreaming at night, usually the dream is completely unconscious in the sense that you're not really aware that you are dreaming. You're just lost in the dream is just happening to you. All of a sudden, when you become conscious of the dream, just like lucid dreaming, you recognize, I am dreaming. And then the dream changes in the way that it affects you. At any moment, at that point now, you can wake up completely from the dream. So what's been suggested in the same way, what I call absolute realization, is that you recognize that this thing that you call life, the names and the forms, are just an illusory appearance. they're not truly real, they're not truly who you are. And in seeing that, you wake up to your absolute nature, in which you find true freedom, true liberation, in which the sense of ego, which is that separate sense of self, which feels limited, which feels just like the character, like the body, like the mind, and then be exposed and can be dissolved. And so the suggestion is that the real soul trap is this sense of ego, what I call the ego effect illusion. The ego is simply an effect that's created through mental identification, which is to say we think, oh, I am just a body, I am just a mind, or I am just a particular circumstance. That then creates this experience, this sense of being an ego, which is a limited sense of self, when in reality, it's just an illusion. It's being created by a misperception. From that mental identification, from that sense of ego, then comes the sense of feeling like a doer, a controller of your life, like you have to make things happen. Or you can end up feeling instead like a victim. From that, then comes this chasing after pleasure, 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 and the moving away from pain in life circumstances, which is essentially resistant to this moment right now. It's saying this moment is not enough, who you are is not enough, you must get more pleasure, or you must move away from circumstances which seem uncomfortable, which seem painful. So fear comes to try and avoid the painful circumstances, desire comes to try and hold and get more of the pleasurable experiences. And this comes because one is cut off from that true nature, they become that separate self. And through mental identification comes a sense of isolation, separation, viewership, and you're the controller. Then comes chasing after pleasure, moving away from pain, which is fear and desire. And then from that, one suffers. In this ups and downs of moving, trying to get towards pleasure and moving away from pain, that is suffering, that resistance is suffering. So then that creates the sufferer, the one who suffers, which then only reinforces the ego, which then goes back to that mental identification, which is to say, I am the one that suffers. I am the sufferer in my life. So once we recognize and see that pattern, once we expose the ego effect illusion, we start to then break free from those patterns and break free from that suffering. And we begin to see that we are the absolute nature. From here, we must then shift into what I call direct perception, which means that we're no longer going on the memories of the past, or secondary perception, books that have been read, videos that have been watched, teachers that have been listened to, past experiences. All of that has to be put to one side in order to look freshly in this moment through direct perception at what is actually true, who you actually are as the absolute infinite self. When this happens, liberation is the result. And the ego has been dissolved, and you find yourself in direct perception always. This is liberation. You become free. Now you're free from the soul trap. Because really the soul trap was in the mind, it was in that pattern of being ego self or separate self. Now nothing can trick you. Now nothing can deceive you. Now nothing can bind you, make you bound or limited. You've broken out into the unknown. And what this can then lead to as well is a raising of your energy, of your frequency, in which then the mirror of the life that is reflected to you becomes one of more abundance. Because part of the reality of the absolute is that it is one of abundance, one of infinite possibilities. All of a sudden now that particular body mind that's being experienced can actually begin to reach its full potential. All the options are laid out in this moment in which everything is already experience of your absolute true nature as the source, then can experience, for want of a better word, for lack of a word, can experience whatever it wishes to.
Well, why did they do that? The source is one, and we are one. We are one because the source is one.
Can experience whatever it wishes to through attuning that particular frequency. And it's happening for nobody. Nobody is doing it. There is nobody there. There is no one there. There is no doer. There is no controller. Because that has been recognized to be a complete illusion. It was just an effect being created by a cause, which was mental identification, limited identification. Now you're free from the soul trap. But within this appearance level of what we call life, there is this dance of the forces of entropy and the forces of evolution between the so-called bad and the so-called good, the so-called darkness and the so-called light. Those which align with ignorance for power, for gain, and those which align with truth and goodness and love and beauty. And so there is these battles going on between these two forces within the apparent reality. But ultimately, they are still just animations of the one. If we think of the analogy of a movie screen, the movie screen itself is permanent, is changeless, is always there. And all the pictures on the screen.
It creates good and evil. It transfers good and evil. We have good and bad parts of us. The bad energy we're going against, we're going to get rid of the bad energy, so we're totally good. We are growing as a all-powerful energy source combined together as one, because it is one. It's part of us. We're part of it. We're all divided, but we're all together. We're one.
Screen. And the whole movie and the characters on the screen are all just made of the screen itself. They have no independent reality of their own. They're just an appearance. On closer inspection, they are just made of the same screen. They're just made of the same source, the absolute. So the forces of so-called darkness and the forces of light, they are both just made of the absolute nature, the absolute reality. It's a dance. It's a play that is happening. But when you get lost in the play, in the details of the play, identified with the characters, identified with the roles, with name and form,
that's what we did. You heard what he said.
then one gets taken over by the illusion. Unconsciously, they become lost, like being lost in a dream. You begin to lose yourself. Then you begin to suffer. Now you can be limited. Now you can be seemingly harmed, or it seems like you can be harmed. The experience is one of being harmed. But ultimately, once you see through all of the illusions, fear melts away, attachment melts away, and you return back to your true nature.
Boom.
There is freedom, there is peace.
There you have it. Do not go to the light. Part 2 coming up. Bang, bang. We got many homes.